if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, your season got off to basically the worst start imaginable when your quarterback, Dak Prescott, goes down with a thumb injury, has surgery, but a little bit of positive news. Initially thought to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Now the Cowboys are no longer going to place him on IR, meaning he could come back in 4 weeks. How does this change things for the Cowboys?
Yeah, you're first of all right about the 19-3. I suppose everybody could have fallen into a hole in an earthquake and it could have been worse, but you wasted a good defensive effort.
Yeah.
You only scored 3 points, and your quarterback got hurt with the thumb hand injury that initially was maybe an 8-week thing. Now, how much of this 4-week concept is driven by the hucksterism, maybe, and certainly the optimism that permeates the building here at the Star because of Jerry Jones's approach. I don't believe that Jerry Jones announced some fake diagnosis so we could keep interest up or sell more tickets, although I understand the cynicism. My understanding, though, is the doctor goes in after the surgery and is able to say, okay, it's not as bad as we first thought.
Yeah.
And so the plan is to not put back on IR until we monitor it further. You want to come back after 4 weeks? Mm-hmm. Conceivable. The biggest reason to not put the guy on IR, though, is if you're on PUP or whatever list you're on, you can't practice for that time. So they would like Dak to be able to practice as soon as he could, even if he can't necessarily play that particular week.
Now, even before quarterback Dak Prescott went down with the injury in the fourth quarter, wow, did the offense look pretty awful. The only offense in week 1 in the NFL to not score a touchdown. So now Cooper Rush takes over. What do the Cowboys need to do?
Well, 2 reflections on the mood, first of all, and you and I were at practice on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Can we agree that it didn't seem to be the most energetic?
Yeah, not a lot of life going on around here.
And so that follows up a game in which the offense, and I'm not saying they weren't prepared, but they looked like they were running uphill. It looked slow and sluggish. And then comes the carryover mood-wise. Now, I don't blame them. There is a sort of dark cloud hanging over the backyard at the Star, even though it's lovely outside. But
you lose your leader.
Yeah, but you better get over it. And Mike McCarthy's Monday press conference was quite sober.
Yeah.
And his Wednesday press conference, he was almost barely above a whisper. So he knows better than this. That's got to change.
Yeah.
And it's got to change with Cooper Rush now as your quarterback. The Cowboys, and we broke this story on Monday on CowboysSI.com and the Fish Report. They had no intention of going out and trading for some blockbuster name. That was not the plan. Maybe they're wrong. We'll see. But they believe that Cooper Rush can play. Cooper Rush says they trust me, talking about his teammates, and I trust them. We'll find more in week 2 when Cincinnati is here at AT&T Stadium.
Speaking of the Cincinnati Bengals, here comes Joe Burrow to Arlington to AT&T Stadium, and of course the Cowboys are reeling after that loss to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are you watching for in this matchup, and what do you think is maybe a Cowboys' key to victory if they're to pull off this upset?
Yeah, in regard to the Cowboys, and I know that there's a fan-based sentiment that, it's all hopeless. And I've seen a lot of people say it, and I've seen a lot of people write it.
Oh, the season's over.
That's not how this works. And we know that's not how it works. Let's go to Seattle, where in their Monday night opener, they got Russell Wilson coming to town, his big homecoming. Yeah. They only have Geno at quarterback.
Yeah.
They got an injured running back. They can't get the ball to the wide receivers. They lack talent. National media making fun of them. And they won.
Right.
That was a lesson, I think, what the Seahawks did under Pete Carroll, and good for them, and Geno Smith. I think that's a lesson to the rest of the league. You do show up.
Yeah.
Now, you get to the point where you're 2-10. Okay. now you can quit pretending, but not 0-1. The Cowboys should not quit on the concept that they can still be good. I also think it's worth noting regarding the Bengals. This is a potential powerhouse in the AFC.
Right.
And yet, in their first week, they looked awfully sloppy.
Definitely.
In a game against the Steelers. Joe Burrow, crazy turnovers, missed kick, unfortunate injuries, just a slew of things that bit them in the behind. So I think if you're the Buffalo Bills, you are kind of looking around going, who's competing with us?
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs will stay on that list.
Right.
The Buffalo Bills, they'll probably stay on top of the list. They have the Titans coming into town. They're 7-point favorites. But yeah, the AFC teams, the AFC powers, I do think they all eyeball each other on these national games. And there will be a lot of eyes on Bills, and Bengals this weekend.
There was a highlight in the Dallas Cowboys loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and really this was the only highlight, and it was Micah Parsons' play, that spin move as he goes to sack quarterback Tom Brady. How creative can the Cowboys get with Parsons this year?
If you go through with this coaching staff and say who played well in that game,
Yeah,
it's a really short list.
for sure.
And maybe Zach Martin was good, and maybe Anthony Barr was okay, and maybe Trayvon Diggs held up fine. But Micah Parsons seems like he's almost alone on the list, and he had the 2 sacks in that game.
Yeah.
That puts him, of course, among the league leaders. And they did do it creatively, with some creativity, and they'll need to do that again. The question now, Micah said, well, you know, we don't have Dak, but the defense is going to have to step up.
Yeah.
Step up more than that?
Yeah.
Step up more than having 2 sacks in a game against Tom Brady. Step up more than only giving up 1 touchdown against Tom Brady and the Bucs. I don't know how much more you can ask out of Micah Parsons. I just know that he's standing here volunteering to try to do more if he can. Again, I think it's a semi-unrealistic request, but we can say this. There are so many people on the Cowboys roster that get super hyped.
Yeah.
And America's team and Jerry Jones and the media, and we're all guilty, for lack of a better word. But Micah Parsons is not a result of super hype.
Yeah.
He is a result of
Super play?
Super play.
Yeah. There was another low light in the Cowboys' loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's 10 penalties. And of course, the penalty problem we talked about all last season, it had been supposedly fixed this off season. How concerned are you about these penalties?
Well, we've talked on this show all off season. Well, we're going to fix it. Yeah, but how?
Yeah.
Push-ups?
Yeah.
Run laps? You don't get a popsicle if you have a bad practice? It's not realistic. Nor is it realistic to do what Kellen Moore suggested, the offensive coordinator, on Monday. Terrence Steele was a particular problem. He had 4 penalties in that game, the right tackle. He had 3 of them, like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And so Kellen Moore said, well, you know, if that happens, you just bench the guy. No, Kellen, you really don't.
Yeah.
You only have 50 or so guys around here. In college, you could bench a guy. The University of Alabama can bench a guy because they have 3 other offensive tackles on the roster. They're someday going to the NFL.
Right.
But in the NFL, you can't bench all the people that screwed up in that game. Otherwise, you only have like Micah Parsons and Ezekiel Elliott and Zach Martin on the field.
Right.
So there is no magic wand.
Yeah.
There is no extra super secret solution. It's just got to stop.
Yeah.
Or you're going to stop yourself, which ultimately, of course, last year's Cowboys 12-5. If they don't have 14 penalties in that playoff game against the Niners,
Yeah.
they probably win. If they don't have 10 penalties against the Buccaneers, at least they have enough momentum
Yeah.
to maybe score a touchdown, and that changes the outcome of the game. Maybe the only way to do it is it's on you individually. You got to fix you individually. And you got to do it like you're an adult, because we're not going to hold back the popsicles. That won't work.
Right. It is definitely a somber week in Cowboys Nation land as quarterback Dak Prescott goes down with the injury and he's out for weeks. What are you hearing around Cowboys Nation about Dak or otherwise?
Well, the wide receiver situation is that they are abuzz with what might happen there. One of them's good, one of them's not good.
Yeah.
The good part is Michael Gallup on Wednesday participated in practice on a ramp-up level.
Yeah.
Now, not ready to play in week 2, in my opinion. Week 3 still a target, but that feels good for the Cowboys to see him out there starting to do something.
Yeah.
And CeeDee Lamb, and Mike McCarthy, to his credit, is not one of the coaches that holds a press conference and rips his players. Nor does he sneak down the hallway with us and do it either. It's not his style. Good for him. But he did say about CeeDee Lamb, who of course had 11 targets but only 2 catches and was not really a factor and could not get open.
Right.
The measurement of your speed and the miles per hour and all that, those measuring sticks on you. You know, there's websites that do this. They had him among the guys that had 3 targets or more over the course of the weekend. They had him out of 89 guys. He was like ranked number 72. He was one of the worst receivers in the league in terms of getting open, CeeDee Lamb. So you've got to scheme him open. He's got to be better. I think the organization should have been better in giving him some help. But what McCarthy said is, this is the whole new world for CeeDee Lamb. He is going to be the focus of the other team's defense. And the Cowboys better find a counterbalance, because this is going to be a long year if CeeDee Lamb only catches 2 passes a game because the other team's focused on him.
For sure.